Good evening and welcome to the meeting this evening. Would everyone please rise? We'll be led in prayer by Alderman Bill Nash.
Almighty God, we ask for the blessings upon the members of this council as we assemble here in this chamber to conduct the ongoing business of our city. With your guidance, we will strive to ensure that all our decisions are for the common good, and your inspiration will instill respect, compassion, and thoughtfulness in all of our deliberations. Give us the strength and wisdom to lead by example as the people's representatives, and that peace and harmony will mark all our proceedings and keep us faithful to the trust placed in us by the citizens of our community. Amen.
Amen. Alderwoman Gould, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Public hearing number 1, an ordinance electing a modified schedule of depreciation with respect to motor vehicles for assessment years commencing on or after October 1st, 2024.
Thank you. At this time, I declare the public hearing to be open. Anyone wish to address the City Council concerning this ordinance who would like to speak in favor of it at this time, I would invite you to join us at the dais. Please state your name and address for the public record. Thank you. Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the ordinance at this time? Wishing to speak in favor of the ordinance at this time? Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the ordinance at this time? Thank you. Seeing no one, is anyone here wishing to speak in opposition to the ordinance at this time? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the ordinance at this time? Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the ordinance at this time? Seeing no one, then I declare the hearing closed. Thank you.
Number 2, an ordinance providing for the abatement of real estate taxes on real estate for the historic redevelopment and reuse of property commonly referred to as the Reed and Hughes property.
Thank you. At this time, I declare this public hearing to be open. Like the first, I invite anyone wishing to speak at this time in favor of this ordinance. At this time, please state your name and address for the record, and the person will have 3 minutes. Is there anyone wishing to speak in favor of the ordinance at this time? Anyone wish to speak in favor of this ordinance at this time? Anyone wishing to speak in favor of the ordinance at this time? See no one, thank you. Anyone here wish to speak in opposition to the ordinance at this time? Again, anyone wish to speak in opposition to the ordinance at this time? Wish to speak in opposition to the ordinance at this time? Seeing no one, then I declare that public hearing closed. Thank you.
Second reading and action on the above ordinance previously presented. Number 1, an ordinance electing a modified schedule of depreciation with respect to motor vehicles for assessment years commencing on or after October 1st, 2024.
Thank you. A motion, please, to bring this to the floor. Alderwoman Hayes, and then Alderman Nash, second. Is there discussion? President Pro Tem.
I would ask the city manager, or at his request, the comptroller, just to give us a brief overview of what this ordinance actually does for the city.
Well, I can give you a brief overview, and if I need more details, Josh will kind of signal to me. Basically, this is a compromise that the state legislature offered us to phase in their new process for assessing automobiles. Their new process was very aggressive in the depreciation schedule, and when you see in my presentation tonight, would have reduced our automobile tax revenue by about 25% more than phasing it in the way we do this now. This allows for a modified depreciation schedule that is not what we were doing before, but is more of a phase-in on the new depreciation schedule that the state is imposing on the city.
So I have one question. So in your analysis, does this reduce, I guess is the word for it, does this reduce the impact on what would have been needed to be made up in revenue through real estate taxes?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there further questions at this time? Alderman Singh.
I just want to confirm, so I think it will help almost like 5% in the motor vehicle grand list? That's what it is? Or it's adding to the?
5% is about right, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Are there further questions at this time on this ordinance? Seeing none, on a roll call, please.
Alderman Nash? Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Davenport? Yes. Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The ordinance is adopted. The vote is 7-0.
Number 2, an ordinance providing for the abatement of real estate taxes on real estate for the historic redevelopment and reuse of property commonly referred to as the Reed and Hughes property.
Thank you. A motion, please, to bring it to the floor. Alderman Singh, second by Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion? President Pro Tem.
I would just like to say that this is the first of the last steps in bringing this property, which has been an odyssey in its own right, but bring this property finally to an occupied, tangible use that puts this property back on the tax rolls. And I'm very happy to be sitting up here when it finally happened.
Thank you. Is there further discussion? Alderman Singh.
Thank you very much. Definitely, I think I'm happy about that. We have saved the historical property in Norwich. And the other thing is, even though this tax abatement structure will help that developer with almost $80,000 more than the regular tax abatement structure we have, I have no issue with that. And I think we're also making a statement that Norwich is the town which is willing to save history. So we will like more developers to come and work on our historical properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there further discussion at this time? I would just add briefly that this is a very important component in the financing of this. It took a varied stack of resources of revenue to make this a reality. Let us not forget the state provided a $550,000 grant to assist us to move this forward. And I'd also point out that this may, in fact, represent the first, or no less than the second project that the Community Investment Fund has funded in the entire state of Connecticut that will be completed very soon. In the month of May, it will be done, and that's good news. So the issues that have surrounded its development will be put to rest, and the businesses that have been impacted will, in fact, not have that negative impact again, and that had to do with locations of cranes and other types of things in the vicinity of the building. So I support it as well. If there are no other discussions, then I ask for roll call.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt? Yes. Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Thank you. The ordinance is adopted. The vote is 7-0. Yes.
Adoption of minutes, March 3rd and March 17th, 2025.
Thank you. Motion, please, to move the adoption of the minutes. Alderman Gould, second Alderman Bettencourt. Is there discussion on the minutes? If not, then roll call, please.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould? Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes, thank you. Yeah, the minutes are adopted. The vote is 7-0.
Petitions and communications, explanation of proposed ordinance regarding a modified schedule of depreciation for motor vehicle assessments.
Thank you. A motion, please, to bring to the floor. Alderwoman Gould, second Alderwoman Hayes. Is there discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh? President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes, thank you. The motion is adopted, 7-0.
City Manager's proposed budget presentation.
Thank you. I assume it's going to go on when I hit this button, but if it doesn't, then we'll see what happens. It's not, huh? Is it on?
Hang on.
We're going to have to reset it again.
Reboot.
Oh,
Got the touch.
Okay, well, thank you. Tonight, I'm going to give an overview on the proposed 25 fiscal 26 budget. Something pleasant, each year we do a different cover. This year, we concentrated on the marina, its resurgence. This was an event that took place during the year of the balloon event we had. The photograph is taken by the assistant to the city manager, Jackie Barbarossa, and this is the 10th in the series of budget. We'll probably have an exhibition on it sometime, but it's just a really terrific photo, and I appreciate what she does to make them so professional. Obviously, our priorities would be, first is to minimize the impact on taxpayers while sustaining essential services. That's doubly important this year because, as I will relate during my presentation, the city has taken a very big hit on revenues this year, mostly by state legislation and rules for various grants. So we had to figure out how we could make a relatively reasonable budget presentation, but at the same time trying to sustain essential services. It's a fine line, and when we get into the details, you'll see what I'm talking about. We continue to maximize efficiencies and collaborations and revenue sharing between departments. We're always encouraging that. That's one of the things that we do, and it helps us reduce some of the expenditure levels that we're at. The city, I believe, are very fortunate by the town fathers who, when they set up the charter, they mandated that in the budget submission each year, that 2% of the budget be allocated in addition to the regular budget towards capital projects. So this has occurred since the new charter was created for the financial impacts on the city. And it really has prevented the city from not funding important infrastructure projects over the years. I would be honest with you, this year, if I had some flexibility, I probably would have reduced some of it, but in the long run, it is the wrong thing to do, and you should keep on investing in infrastructure. And we're at about $3 million of capital project infrastructure, projects, machinery, vehicles, things like that. We always try to strengthen or maintain our educational system. We want to make sure that the next generation of Norwich residents are well-served. It was particularly challenged this year. Revenue factors. Let's talk about the grand list. Our revenue sharing, not revenue sharing, revenue collectible grand list was $2.8 billion this year. From that, we had a change in real estate values of only $1 million, which is really no change at all. Change in personal property went up somewhat significantly of about 19.5 million. And this is being added to the 2.8 million. So here's the subtraction. This is in the change of motor vehicle values. This is so with the changes to how they assess vehicles, we had to reduce our collectible grand list by $32 million of assessed value. We tentatively had put that the council would approve tonight the revised depreciation schedule, and fortunately you did, so I don't have to do this chart again. So this chart does reflect the resolution that you passed tonight, actually the ordinance that you passed tonight. Change in collection rates, estimates for assessment and appeals. We always have some property owners that request appeals, changes, things. We've allocated $8.9 million for that. So finally, if you add up all the positives and negatives, you come up with a net 26 fiscal year collectible grand list of $2,799,000, which ostensibly is the same. So there's no real additional revenue from the grand list this year. You'll see later on why we are trying to emphasize economic development as a key component of trying to maintain the tax rate. This chart really says it all, very simple. The darker blue line is stagnant and the same. So from when we started this chart in fiscal 12 to the proposed fiscal 26, there has been no change in the education cost sharing grant. So we've had inflation over the last 12 years. So you can imagine that what was good in fiscal 12 is not very good in fiscal 26. So we've had an erosion of the value of the education cost sharing. I guess the good news is it hasn't gone down, but ostensibly because costs have risen in education over the 10-year, 13-year period that we have here, it's been not keeping up at all with the expenditures we have to make. The other, which is aqua, blue, green, whatever color, I'll say green, I don't know if it's green, but you can see that it was relatively the same until a few years ago when we received some additional grants for car tax and et cetera. Well, it peaked last year, and this year we're losing about $3.5 million in revenue from state grants. 2.9, which is the car tax. Briefly explain, there's a minimum car tax, which is at 32 something, approximately 32 point something. When we did our revaluation, we lowered our mill rate to correspond with our expenditure situation, and we, we lowered the mill rate that we would not be eligible to receive the revenue from the state for the car tax, and that's about 2.9 million less this year. In addition, and it's nothing to do with what you did tonight, this is a separate state revenue issue. The other is the pilot tax, which is on state property and hospital property. Because our grand list and ultimately our mill rate went down, there was part of the formula for pilot that went down, so that was another 600,000. So all told, in state revenue for the year we're coming into, we lost about 3.6 million. So you see that before I even started the budget, I was $3.6 million below previous years, and with no appreciable growth in the grand list, especially with the new depreciation schedule that was imposed on us by the state of Connecticut. We also received 10% of the gross revenue from NPU revenues. Now, there's good news and bad news with this one. The good news is that NPU was able to lower their rates specifically in electricity, but when you lower rates, you get less revenue. And since we get 10% of their gross revenue, we receive less revenue. So that is approximately $1 million less revenue this year. So again, the good news is that rates went down. The bad news is that it affects our revenue on the general fund. Interest is about the same. This is a pretty difficult guessing game at this point with the state of the economy. First, we thought it would go down 6 months ago based on inflation being lowered. Then some of the modifications that the president has put forward with tariffs and other things has put our projections of a lower interest rate in effect. So that's good news, bad news. There might be less inflation reduction, therefore we're keeping interest rates about where they were the previous year. License permits and fees. We try to reflect what we think projections will be for economic activity in the next year. We will be changing some of our permits and fees for various licenses and permits that we issue. But the number doesn't change significantly, but it does try to fill in some of the gap. Expenditure factors. The major ones are education, salary and fringe, and debt service. Let's talk a little bit about all three. First, in education. The Board of Education requested a budget for this fiscal year of $420,901 million. That equals to about a $4.7 million increase, or if we related it to taxes, it's about just shy of a 5% increase if we were to grant the $4.7 million. The major drivers in education, and they are speaking tomorrow night, is tuition, mostly tuition, and the Norwich Free Academy tuition, that's the bulk of it. Some transportation increases, although I commend the superintendent for lowering that where possible. And finally, the wild card in this whole thing, special education costs. You can budget what you have in students at this point, but it's a very fluid type of situation. If new students that have special education needs enter the school system during the year, they have to be funded. And depending on the needs of an individual student, it can be from very minor amounts up to $500,000 for one student. That would be something, some student that would have very intricate special needs to be taken care of by the city. The other item that makes this difficult is that the special education reimbursement still does not keep up with the cost that we entail. So it's another part, though not directly related to the revenues, it is something that is not keeping costs at all with the increase in special ed. And that is the most volatile cost that the Board of Education has. They are, on the good news, as Alliance District funds, they are going to get an increase of $2.1 million. So any reduction that we make at least has $2 million cushion in there to help reduce the impact. Salary and fringes. Unfortunately, with this budget, I had to cut some vacant and filled positions. In my 10 years of budgeting, this is the first time I've actually had to propose, or in the end, actually propose layoffs. There's 7 positions, 4 are filled positions, so those will be actual layoffs. They will occur on July 1st, so they will be funded through the end of this fiscal year. And then 3 vacant positions that are no longer going to be funded. So that's a total of 7. 7 is a significant part of our table of organization. And it's always very difficult to lay off good employees, and all these employees are excellent employees. We met with them last week to help explain what happened. So they all know. They won't read it tonight in the paper and say, oh, God, I don't have a job anymore. They know, and we tried to do it in a humane way, and I thank our department head and Rob Scalise, especially for leading that informational area. We are attempting to reduce overtime in our key departments that have expended the most overtime, which is public safety, police, and fire. That's part of our proposal. We have union negotiations this spring for 3 unions, City Hall employees, Public Works employees, and dispatches, and we'll see how they turn out. The contracts expire June 30th of '25. So we've made a budget allocation for it, which I'm not going to get into specifics because it would kind of let the unions know what I'm expecting to receive in counter offers, so I'm not going to get into that. And fringe benefits. Fringe benefits are expected to be comparable to previous years. That's good news. As you recall in the past, we've had significant medical insurance costs going up. We know that the council and the citizens approved the pension bonding program a few years ago, and that's made our pension costs much more stable than in the past. So those items have really taken into effect the fringe benefits. And we have negotiated fringe benefits with other unions that are less liberal than they were in the past. This is kind of the elephant in the room, the debt service. As you know, the citizens in their wisdom approved a bond issue for rebuilding most of the city schools of $385 million in 3 years ago, or 2 years ago. 2 or 3? 3? Okay. 3. Now, what you see here is the tale of two lines. If we had if we don't increase the debt, or we didn't budget for the 385, or the police station, which I have tentatively put in this, I thought it would be more conservative to put it in there, and then if for some reason we don't put a police station on the ballot this year, we would reduce some of the debt service, but not significantly. And the dark blue line, which is gradually decreasing over the next 10 years. So our debt, as we pay it off, it decreases, just like if you have a mortgage and you pay it off, you have less expenditures to do that. But you see the extreme growth in the debt service over the next 5 or 6 years. That's when we're going to have the build-out of the schools, which are being phased in now. The first 2 schools have been bid and will hopefully start construction late spring, early summer. 2 more are well along in specifications and will follow the first 2. And finally, the last school and the administrative building at Huntington will be funded at last. That's why it goes up gradually. Of course, we don't borrow all $385 million until we need the cash flow. Now, one important thing that should be noted, that this is net of our bonding capacity. So the bonding approval was $385 million. We have taken the liberty to put 80% for the first 2 projects, which was approved by the legislature. It is now proposed to put the second 2 schools at 80%, although that still has to go through some legislative approvals. But at this point, we've taken an optimistic role and put the 80% at both schools. So what we're net funding is about 100 to 140 million of debt service, not 385. Obviously, we didn't have the 80%. There's no way that we could afford to do this, because the line would look like a rocket ship going up, and it would be cost prohibitive. But the state, it's one area the state is pretty generous on. They pay 80% of our eligible school projects. And again, I put the police station in there. I think it was important to do that, to budget for it, and then, as we go along, we'll see where we line up with that. Obviously, would still have to be, if it was proposed, still have to be voted on by the citizens in the November election. So you can see where we are now is about $5.3 million in debt service a year. At the peak, it's going to be about $14 million out of the budget. So that's $9 million more than we're budgeting now. That's significant. I think I mentioned this to council when the bond issue passed, and I said, I know that this is going to be a significant increase in debt service. I hope it doesn't affect all our services, because that would be counterproductive. Ironically, you could have wonderful schools, but you may not have enough of teachers to house the schools. How ironic that would be. So we've got to balance the needs of that. And I really said that I thought there would be no way we'd not have a tax increase to carry the debt that we're going to have to carry. Strategies for developing the budget. These are some small items that I just wanted to get out of the way. The cannabis gross receipts tax, which we receive on retail. This goes to specific projects and items within the budget, and they are restricted to these type of items. So out of the revenue that we get, it goes to that. We are in the process of having another retail cannabis site be opened, I believe, this spring. I don't know if it'll double because they kind of feed off each other, but there should be an increase in this. And now we have the opioid settlement funds. As you know, there was a substantial legal victory by attorneys general over the course of many years, suing the distributors and manufacturers of certain opioids in a reckless and careless manner. And it was a multi-billion-dollar settlement that we even get a small share of the billions. But it's not insignificant. We're funding some programs in adult and family services, about $116,000 through the settlement, and we're also funding certain other medical and assistant payment needs for 25. If the federal government reduces some of these areas, this may be some of our ways to mitigate some of the reductions. Already there has been reduction in fuel assistance programs, which was federal money, that may come out of the 25K or whatever, but there's other pressures on the city through the federal government reductions. Maintaining infrastructure. We have four major areas: equipment, road reconstruction or construction. The right-hand quadrant shows all the different areas of IT that we have to budget for and keep current on. And finally, public safety equipment and gear. This is a jacket which is called turnout gear. It's now in the thousands. It used to cost in the hundreds. It kind of coincides for fire equipment, fire engines. Or when I started in this business many years ago, you could buy a pumper truck for $150,000 to $200,000. Now, if you're lucky, you can get a pumper truck maybe under $1 million, but the one that's currently being budgeted is $1.3 million. So you can see the inflation that's gone on in that. We would probably never budget fire trucks and apparatus through the capital fund because one truck would take up half the capital fund. So it's not a viable way, although we are working on a replacement schedule that might be an alternative to what we do now, which is just a bond when we accumulate a list. We are increasing education fund in the proposed budget. As I reiterate what happened before, we received a $1,400,000 request, 4.7, or just under 5% increase. I'm recommending a 1% increase or approximately $1 million of new monies to the Board of Education. This is probably the lowest recommendation I've given. I think I usually have started in the 2 to 3% range. So there's 1% in there. Remember, they have $2 million in Alliance money coming in, which will help mitigate the 4.7. If you add the 1 million plus the 2.7, you're getting closer to the 4.7. So it's not as dire as it looks, but still dire. And I just put this in there, the ad hoc committee will start meeting, I assume, again, after the budget has been completed in April and May to see what type of alternatives the council can work on. And it's important because the Board of Ed budget is so complicated. This subcommittee and ad hoc committee works well. You had to have a couple of charts if I'm going to do this right, so, but I think this really says it very all. See if I can actually do this. Oops, not there. Here we go.
There you go.
Where I placed the red dot, that's the proposed general fund budget for this year. It's actually 500,000 less than last year's budget. It's the first time I was able to actually have a budget that's lower than the previous year. So that's about a minus 1% increase, or it's a 1% decrease. Debt service we talked about. In real numbers this year, it's gone up by about 645,000. That's about a 14% increase. And then finally, the total, subtotal is I gotta do it with my right hand. I'm not ambidextrous. 0.24, and that includes the debt service. So taking the debt service out, we really would have no increase in expenditures for that. Education is the modest increase that I proposed of 1%. So the total with the Board of Ed expenditure level is less than 1% for next year. And the special revenue funds are as shown there. And we see that Norwich public utilities increased about 5%. That is ultimately paid for by ratepayers rather than the direct taxes. So what's the mill rate look like? We're proposing a mill rate of 35.23. The adopted last year's budget, or the budget we're in now, was about 33. So that's a change of about 2.25 mils. It's broken out. The additions are in the CCD and the TCD. So the net increase, if it's the TCD taxpayers, is 6.86%. And if it's the general fund plus CCD, it's 7.8. Now, you're wondering, how do we get to that? If we have no increase in expenditures, why do we have a tax increase? Shouldn't have it, right? But remember, we talked about the revenue loss by the state and some of our revenue losses with NPU and et cetera. Well, let's look at this. I call this the anatomy of a mill rate increase. So let's look at it. I've circled two main items. The change in state grants is 1.6, almost 1.7 mils of the increase. So if you didn't have any state reduction, just status quo, the mill rate would have not increased by 1.7. Changes in NPU revenues, that's about $1 million, and that's 0.42 of a mil. Finally, debt service goes up about 600,000, and that's 1/4 of a mil. So you can see, if you go back to that chart of the debt service, that's at a debt service of 5.3 million. If you're going to be funding 14 million, you see how much the debt service will take up in the budget as we proceed in years ahead. So if those items, there's some subtractions, which I'm proud to say. One of them is, trying to do things at once, it never worked. So that's the mill rate, 2.24. So if you didn't have the circled items in it, you'd have no budget increase. So it's totally due to revenue mostly created by the state through state statutes, and some by expenditures in debt service, and education is 0.38, right above the blue circle. So what are we doing? Well, we're tackling big issues, and some of it's paying off. We tackled the pension issue, one of only a few municipalities in the state that took the route that we took to address our unfunded balance in pension. And it's created a very even flow of money going into the pension system now. So you can see without that, we would have had an increase in fringe benefits just from pensions this year. We're also taking up other big issues that cost us money. There was the schools, which obviously the citizens agreed that we needed to do something with our schools, and they took on a big cost, but a necessary cost. Ockham Industrial Center, let's talk about another big issue, really. We've already spent or allocated a grant of about $11 million for a RAISE grant, which is a federal grant for the roadway project at Ockham Industrial Center that will take care of some of the interchange and the road out about 1.25 miles. It doesn't complete it. That's why we've applied for another RAISE grant to complete that. But at this point, much of it has been funded by grants and will be funded by grants. In addition, the Norwich Economic Development Corporation paid for the land, and that was another $3.5 million. And that's been funded with short-term debt. When we sell our first property, we're hopeful that that pays off the debt. So that will erase the debt. So one big development that we get could pay off all the debt that Norwich has in the way of the NCDC. We're also hopeful that in Ockham, we have a couple of real, I have to be careful because we're still under a kind of a closure order on this, that we can't speak directly on it. But we have one industry that is sincerely looking at one of our larger sites, and that's not a secret because, as you recall, last year we had to discontinue the use of Lawler Road because it impinged on the development of that. So it's a large development, and it is progressing at this point. And when and if it does come to fruition, it will impact our revenue very positively, and it gets into one of the solutions that we're talking about, having growth in the economic development. We're going to continue to pursue grants to pay for public improvements. We've had great successes in paying for some of our public construction projects, for the removal of the building, and I just did a blank on what the building is.
Marina
Marina
Towers.
Towers?
No,
Hale Mill?
yes, thank you. I only had one brain thing towards this today. That's not too bad for me. So we got over $9 million in grants to reduce the Occam, not Occam, the Capeport Mill to a stable area, including all the brownfield development. We'll need more funds to develop it. At this point, it is projected to be a beautiful riverside park, similar to the park that's up in Occam. Similar project. They had an unsightly mill that turned into a beautiful facility. Very exciting for Greenville. They're going to have, within 2 years, a beautiful new school, and then getting rid of such a derelict building at the end of their area and turned into a wonderful park. All done with public money from the state. I want to thank Deanna for taking the lead in some of that, as well as Kevin Brown. We're in the process of seeking proposals to remarket or sell Dodd Stadium. We have a contract with the College League that runs out in October of this year. At that point, we need to make a decision about what we want to do with Dodd Stadium. It's over 30 years old, needs a lot of work. So the decision will be, do we want to spend money on a 30-year-old project? There are not a lot of baseball teams out there that are interested in going here. As you know, the city lost its major league component when the major league decided to eliminate certain leagues, including the league that we were in, which was level 1 for minor league teams.
Hey.
Right, thank you.
New York Penn.
Yeah. So we're in the process of that. It's moved along very well, and we may even have an offer on buying the land. The land is very valuable. It is indeed shovel-ready. It has utilities there. They have to determine if they want to keep the stadium there, if it's a development, a sports development, or they want the raw land there. They could develop about 27 acres of it. The rest has some easements and wetlands. But 28 acres ready to go is a valuable piece of property. Now, if we were so fortunate to actually consummate a deal with that, and we did it by June 30th of '26, we would use that money to plug the gap in the state financing that we're not getting. Now, it wouldn't necessarily be $3.5 million. I don't know what it's going to be, if it happens at all. But so there's an outside chance that we can mitigate some of these needs. We may not know by the time this budget is complete, but then we can make changes as we go during the year. And finally, disposition of other properties. We've taken properties that we took over, like Read and Use, like the YMCA, and converted them into, or will be shortly converted them into taxable income properties. We are looking at fees that we charge for various services, and we're going to make sure that they're comparable with our peers. Looks like we can make some changes in there, and we propose that in the budget. What services are we providing which are being done by others? We have to take a look and keep on looking at that, and we will do that for future budgets. And finally, this is the meeting schedule. We'll be meeting tomorrow. We have a full house of meetings starting at 6. Then Thursday, the 10th, Monday, the 14th, Wednesday, the 16th. We'll also have a public hearing on Wednesday, the 16th. The first hearing, this hearing is on comments on the city manager's budget. Then on May 5th, it would be, the council would adopt the preliminary budget. Then we have another hearing on the 12th, which be comments on the city council's budget. And finally, we've projected June 2nd as a tentative date for a budget adoption. We could go as late as June 9th by charter if we had to. I'm always of the preference to give yourself a little bit of time in case some last minute things grind up the gears a little bit. So in summary, I could say safely that if we didn't have the revenue shortfalls this year that were not any fault of the city, we would have had a no tax increase year because we made severe cuts. But because we have to make up that revenue, there is a tax increase proposed in the city's managed budget for next year. So that concludes my report for this evening. Oh, I'm getting a correction. It's not federal, that's right, it's state, 11.3 million CIF grants on the states. Thank you. Second one I didn't get correct. Okay, so that's it for this evening. We'll be meeting individually with each budget in each department over the next 2 weeks and progress along to a final approval of the budget in early June. So that's my presentation for tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, John.
And comment on resolutions on agenda items only.
Thank you. At this time, I declare a citizen comment on the resolutions 1 through 11 to be open at this time. Anyone wishing to address any one of the 11 resolutions, please do so. State your name and address at the time you approach the dais. Each person will be given 3 minutes. As of right now, no one signed up ahead of time, so the slate is blank. Anyone like to address any one of the 11 resolutions? The floor is yours. I'll defer to both sides of the room each time. Again, anyone wishes to speak at this time on general citizen comment? Anyone wishing to address the council on any of the 11 resolutions before us? Address this at this time on the 11 resolutions before us. Seeing no one, I declare that closed. Thank you.
New business resolutions, number 1, relative to setting dates, the first and second public hearing on the budget for fiscal year 25-26.
Motion to bring this to the floor. Alderwoman Gould, second Alderman Singh. Is there discussion? Again, just for the edification of those in attendance and anyone listening at this time, the proposed budget hearing, the first one will be Wednesday, April 16th in this chamber at 7:30 p.m. And that the second public hearing on the proposed budget, once it's adopted by the council, again, will be Monday, May 12th at 7:30 p.m. here in council chambers. Seeing no further discussion, roll call, please.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes?
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The resolution adopted 7-0.
Number 2, relative to appropriating unexpended and unencumbered opioid settlement funds.
A motion, please, to bring to the floor. Alderwoman Gould, second, please. Alderman Singh. Is there discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia? Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The resolution is adopted 7-0.
Number 3, relative to appropriating unexpended and unencumbered cannabis gross receipt tax revenues.
Motion, please, to the floor. Alderwoman Gould, second Alderman Singh. Is there discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The resolution adopted 7-0.
Number 4, relative to increasing permit fees for the use of picnic area and lakeside pavilion at Mohegan Park.
Motion, please, to the floor. Alderman Singh, second Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion? Alderman Singh.
Thank you very much. So, Joan, I was thinking if, I don't know if we can still add a language, but if we add something like that, whereas every 5 years, fees should be subject to reevaluation, or it could be a separate resolution at some point, just to look at our fee structure, because some of our fees are 15-year-old. They don't even catch up with the inflation. I'm very glad we're doing right now, but if there's a process that's created, maybe every department can look into it, or, I just don't know if that exists.
Thank you. Is there further comment?
That's it.
Okay. Any other members at this time? If not, then roll call, please.
Nash? No. Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The resolution adopted 6-1.
Number 5, relative to authorizing the city manager to accept a deed in lieu of foreclosure from Molly Dog Land LLC.
Motion to bring to the floor, please. Alderwoman Gould, is there a second? Alderman Singh, is there further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The resolution adopted 7-0.
6, relative to city manager being authorized and directed to work with planning director to execute a satisfactory assistant agreement contract and to return it to Connecticut Department of Energy and Protection.
Thank you. A motion, please, to bring to the floor. Alderwoman Gould, second Alderman Nash. Is there discussion? I would just, for the record, note and give thanks to our planner, Deanna Rhodes, and her department, who helped gain another grant towards the completion of this badly needed project and cleaning up. Thank you very much. Roll call, please.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The resolution adopted 7-0.
Number 7, relative to the city manager being authorized and directed to enter into and deliver duplicate copies of the assistant agreement between the state of Connecticut and the city for the municipal brownfield grant.
Motion to bring to the floor, please. Alderwoman Hayes, second Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt? Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The resolution is adopted 7-0.
Number 8, relative to the reappointment of the city historian.
Thank you. A motion to bring to the floor, please. Alderwoman Gould, second Alderman Nash. Is there discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould? Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The resolution adopted 7-0.
Number 9, an appointment to the Inland Wetlands Watercourses and Conservation Commission.
Take a motion, please, to bring to the floor. Alderwoman Hayes, second Alderwoman Gould. Is there discussion? Seeing none, for the public's information, the person that's being appointed is Annabelle Caswell. A roll call, please.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes? Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The resolution adopted 7-0.
Number 10, relative to the appointment of an alternate member to the Historic District Commission.
Thank you. A motion, please, to the floor. Alderwoman Hayes, second Alderman Singh. Is there discussion? Again, for the edification of everyone, the person being appointed is Sean Edgecombe. Roll call, please.
Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt? Yes. Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The resolution is adopted 7-0.
Number 11, relative to a regular member appointment to the Board of Public Utilities Commissioner Sewer Authority.
Thank you. Motion to bring this to the floor. Alderwoman Hayes, second Alderman Nash. I have a question for our corporate counsel, please.
I think it's stylistic as to whether or not it's Public Utilities Commission and Sewer Authority, or in the Sewer Authority. The understanding is public utilities is basically gas, water, electric, and the Sewer Authority is responsible for sewers, and they have separate statutory obligations as well as charter obligations. So if the council wants to amend to make that end, that's fine.
It would be my belief that we should, simple amendment to insert that word "and" in between Public Utilities Commissioners and Sewer Authority, since they do have distinct separate functions, even though it's understood they are one and the same. Yes, Alderman Bettencourt.
I would make that motion just to add the word "and" after commissioners, and you could remove the parentheses at that point.
Thank you. Good,
Second.
good addition. Second is Alderwoman Gould, again, initially made by Alderman Bettencourt. The amendment before us is to add the word and strike the parentheses around Sewer Authority. Is there discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, roll call on the amendment.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Amendment is adopted 7-0. On the resolution as amended, is there further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia? Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The resolution is adopted as amended 7-0.
New business ordinances, number 1, an ordinance relative to the appropriations for the city of Norwich and the city and town consolidation districts of said city for fiscal year 25-26.
Thank you. At this time, I would ask for a motion to raise this as directed for the fiscal year 25-26, and note that the fiscal year begins July 1st, 2025. Mike, do we need to list the dates that we've already adopted to coincide with this? When they,
You mean the dates of the public hearing?
yeah,
I don't think you need to at this point. I think it's just you're adopting this resolution for subsequent
Okay.
consideration.
so, okay, thank you. Then the motion is to, in fact, raise it for first read tonight and adopt it for further following our budget process. Is there such a motion? Please, Alderwoman Hayes, Alderman Bettencourt. Any discussion, then roll call, please.
Alderman Nash?
So this is not the actual budget. We're just
No.
pushing this to the April, to the June.
Placing it in position as we follow our normal public hearing and budget process so that it has, in fact, had its first read.
Fine, yes.
Thank you. Any,
Hayes? Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
yes. Thank you. It's, vote is 7-0. Thank you.
Number 2, an ordinance concerning the tax levies on the list of October 1st, 2024.
Again, motion, please, to move this forward through the budget process. Alderwoman Hayes, second, please. Alderwoman Gould. Again, this begins the process, puts it in position for our normal budget process of holding multiple public hearings and so forth. Is there further discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The vote is passed 7-0.
Number 3, an ordinance amending Section 9-28 of the Norwich Code of Ordinances by amending the fee to be charged to commercial haulers for the disposition of solid waste and any other materials collected in Norwich and disposed of at facilities operated by the Southeastern Connecticut Regional Resource Recovery Authority.
Thank you. Motion, please, to raise this for public hearing, waive the full text and reading at this time, and schedule a public hearing for the second meeting in April, which I believe is the 21st. Alderwoman Hayes, second Alderwoman Gould. Seeing no discussion, roll call, please.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes? Yes. Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould? Yes. Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The motion carries. The vote is 7-0.
Number 4, an ordinance amending Chapter 4 of the Norwich Code of Ordinances by amending Sections 4-2, 4-3, and 4-5 concerning fines for the state building code violations and fees for the construction plan review, building permits, and demolition permits.
Thank you. Motion to raise this for a public hearing, waive the full text and reading at this time, and schedule a public hearing for 4/21/2025. Motion, please. Alderwoman Gould, second Alderwoman Hayes. Seeing no discussion, roll call, please.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Thank you. Motion passes 7-0.
Number 5, an ordinance amending Chapter 8 of the Norwich Code of Ordinances by adding Section 8-23 concerning fees for the fire marshal plan review, permits, and inspections.
Thank you. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to waive the full text and reading at this time. Scheduled for public hearing on April 21st, 2025. Motion, please. Alderwoman Hayes, second Alderwoman Gould. Seeing no discussion, roll call.
Alderman Nash?
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Singh? President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. The motion passes 7-0.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Alderwoman Gould, second. Alderman Nash. Roll call on the motion to adjourn.
Yes.
Alderwoman Hayes?
Yes.
Alderman Bettencourt?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderwoman Gould? Alderman Singh?
Yes.
President Pro Tem DeLucia?
Yes.
Mayor Nystrom?
Yes. Thank you. Motion to adjourn passes 7-0. Thank you. All good night.